Chapter 12. Ménage à moi. Oh no, brace yourself. Virgil is about to make a point about wine fermentation and somehow turn it into a story about sex. Members of our wine club have learned to expect that by now. One member once told me something interesting. He said our work parties were one of the few places where people could talk about religion, politics, and sex, and even disagree, without becoming disagreeable. That kind of conversation is rare. And it made me realize something. There are still many parts of human sexuality that people feel uncomfortable talking about at all. In our culture, conversations about personal sexuality are often avoided. Very little is said about how people experience pleasure in their own bodies, and even less about the ways individuals sometimes enjoy their own responses as much as the ones they share with a partner. There is still an unspoken cultural rule. Sex is supposed to exist primarily between couples, preferably in a very specific way. Anything outside that expectation is often wrapped in silence, discomfort, or shame, and over time, many people absorb those messages without even realizing it. But when you step back and look at it honestly, that cultural story doesn't make much sense. Human beings remain sexual throughout their entire lives. Yet there are many times when a partner may not be available. Illness, distance, loss, divorce, or simply differences in timing and desire. So a simple question emerges. How does a person continue to experience and express their sexuality during those times? The answer is surprisingly simple. The partner who understands you best may actually be yourself. Sex researcher Martha Cornog once used a playful phrase for this idea. She called it a ménage à moi, a partnership with oneself. When approached with curiosity and self-respect, personal exploration becomes far more than a private act. It becomes a way of learning. You begin to understand how your body responds, what feels good, what doesn't, and how your desires evolve over time. In other words, you begin building a relationship with your own body again. For men recovering from prostate cancer treatment, this process can be especially meaningful. Medical professionals often encourage gentle self-stimulation as part of sexual rehabilitation. The goal is not simply physical response. The goal is reconnection. Rebuilding communication between the nervous system, the mind, and the body. Many men are surprised to discover that this practice is not only common, it is frequently recommended. For some, that realization becomes a turning point. Caring for their own sexual well-being becomes part of the healing process. Exploring your own responses can bring several benefits. You learn how your body now responds to touch. You may discover new sensations or preferences. You practice relaxation and breathing during arousal. You reduce anxiety about performance. And you rebuild confidence in your sexual identity. Just as important, this exploration provides information. When you understand your own responses, it becomes much easier to communicate them to a partner. Instead of guessing, you can show what feels good and where your body responds best. In that way, personal exploration can actually strengthen intimacy between partners. There is another important truth as well. Sexual desire does not always require the presence of another person. We are sexual beings across the entire span of our lives. Sometimes we share that experience with someone we love, and sometimes we experience it privately as part of our own well-being. Both experiences can exist naturally within a healthy sexual life. Recovery after prostate cancer often changes the way people relate to their bodies. Expectations shift, responses may change, and patience becomes important. Moving at your own pace is essential. There is no race and no standard timeline. Your body is adapting, and your relationship with it is evolving. When you approach that process with curiosity instead of judgment, something powerful can happen. You begin renewing partnership with your own body. And that renewed partnership often becomes the foundation for rebuilding intimacy with someone you love.